Good design is expensive, and going back and forth because of a bad brief is just a waste of money, and more importantly, a waste of everyone's time. So here's how to avoid that. When it comes to design, if you don't have a solid foundation, the end result is bound to fall flat or not quite hit the mark. And if it does, there's a mix of luck in there because it's incredibly hard to create a design brief based on a verbal ask or a quick Slack message. Trust me, Superside has designers spread across the entire globe, and after a lot of trial and error, working with hundreds of clients, some as big as Amazon, Facebook, and Puma, we've ironed out this process. A solid design brief will not only ensure that you're happy with the end result, but it'll also save the designer a lot of time and their sanity, set expectations for both parties before the project begins, and keep both sides accountable to deadlines. And it'll also help you scale your design production. In this video, I'll be diving into how to develop a solid brief for your internal designers or external design partners. I'll cover what exactly design briefs are and why they're important, what should be included in a design brief considerations and tips, and as a little bonus, I sprinkled in a free design brief template that you can grab for yourself. So, what are design briefs used for? A design brief is a written document that outlines everything from project objectives and milestones to the intended audience. The purpose of a design brief is to outline expectations for both parties while developing trust and understanding between you and the designers you're working with. It's also great for referencing throughout the project to ensure its success. Think of it like a map to buried treasure, except the buried treasure is just really good design. Without a solid brief in place, your designers are left piecing together a puzzle in the hopes of creating a design that delivers. That's difficult to do unless the information initially provided is well thought out and includes everything a designer needs to create a successful end product. That's where a solid design brief comes in. Design briefs are important because they help to build an understanding between you and the designer, and over time likely build trust as well, provide a point of reference, removing the need to remember all of the little details that typically accompany a project, and they establish a clear set of expectations for both parties to follow, which should also foster a culture of accountability within the process. Also, just remember that no brief is ever perfect. Regardless of what you put down, there will always be little room for interpretation. So when you're handing a designer or a team a brief, make sure to walk them through everything and cover all aspects in order to start that rapport and answer any uncertainties right up front. Again, the more clear your brief is, the less guessing your designers will have to do. And that means a lot less back and forth between you and the designers later on in the process. And to make your life a little bit easier, we've packaged everything you need to deliver a great design brief into a free template. You can access the free design brief template in the link below in the description. What goes into a design brief? Now that we understand a bit more about what design briefs are and why they're important, let's dive into the anatomy of a solid creative design brief. Number 1, project scope. The project scope is a detailed outline of the project, including resources needed or available, milestones, deliverables, and the intended outcome of the project, as well as the budget. Whether or not you have a design background yourself, you can always find ways to describe what you want visually, with references and links to examples whenever possible. This is where you're going to want to get very specific and detailed in the scope. Number 2, end goal. What is the intended outcome of the project? Is it to increase conversions on a particular web page? Maybe you want to generate buzz or catch the eye of an influencer you want to work with, or maybe you just want to impress your crush. Whatever the goal is, when the designer has a better understanding of the end goal, they'll have an important piece of context that they need to deliver the best creative results. Some example goals are new landing page aimed at increasing conversions, infographics aimed at shareability, updated website navigation to improve user experience, and a killer explainer video for world domination. When you let your designers play a strategic role in the creative process, you're more likely to have better results. 3. Task owners and stakeholders. It's important that before the project begins, you establish and define everyone's role. This will avoid any confusion and prevent anyone from coming in willy-nilly or willy-nelson and providing their unsolicited feedback after the final design has already been submitted. Let's finally put an end to file names like this. The easiest way to keep everyone accountable and doing their part while setting the necessary boundaries is to use the RACI framework. Racky? Racy? Is it RACI or is it Racky? Racy? Racky? RACI, or RACI as I just called it, is a framework that assigns roles and responsibilities to individuals with the following: responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. At every stage of the project, you can assign each individual a RACI role. RACI role, RACI role. 4. Timelines and deadlines. A good design brief will go beyond just saying, finish this project before June 19th. In fact, a great design brief will include the following timelines: project start date, major milestones and associated timelines, feedback exchange dates, final deadline, and if you're a master procrastinator, you might also want to add a final deadline. When you list out all of the timelines and deadlines associated with the project, it'll make it a lot easier to keep everyone accountable. Number 5, target audience. Are you designing an ad to connect with children or their parents? Instagram influencers or bankers? Or what about mommy Instagram influencers or children bankers? Even if you're marketing the same product, your approach to the design and messaging should be different for these audiences. When building out your design brief, it's important that you include the following: who the intended audiences are, and which marketing personas you're mapping the designs to. Number 6, end deliverables. When it comes to the end deliverables, listing out everything you will need will help the designer understand what's expected of them. As you build out your list of deliverables, think to the future. If you're creating a blog header image, then maybe also have that image formatted for all of the social media channels that you'll be promoting it on, like Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and MySpace. But beyond just the image dimensions, thinking about the file types you might want as well. You might want things like the raw project files, transparent PNGs, SVGs, or JPEGs. Thinking about how your original asset can be reused and repurposed will help you start thinking about distribution at a higher level. Number 7, assets available to the designer. If you want to stay true to your brand, you'll need to do more than just sharing a link to your website. Instead, you should outline and share what assets are available to the designer. This could include things like fonts, logos, brand guidelines, color palette, graphics, and copy. And if you can add all of this into a single link that the designer can easily download, even better. When you include things that will enable your designers to create something that's on brand, you'll spend a lot less time going back and forth with unnecessary rounds of feedback and changes. Other things you can add into a design brief. Now that we've covered the essentials, here are some optional but helpful things to level up your design brief. Company details. If you're working with a new design partner, agency, or freelancer, you might want to include key information about your brand. Let the designer know who they're designing for. Competitor analysis. Depending on the design, it might be helpful to compare what your competitors are doing. This will help give the designers a better sense of direction on your end and your vision while helping you stand out. Benchmarks. Share examples of the level of quality that you would like to achieve for the design. This will help the designer eliminate a lot of design decisions that they know you won't like, and it'll help them focus on the elements that you will. You can even share things that you don't want to make it very clear. Level of creativity allowed. What parameters do your designers have to work around? Do you have an existing template that you just want the designer to replicate, or are they being tasked with doing a design refresh? Let them know how much creative freedom they have going into the project. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful for you in learning more about what goes into a proper design brief. If you take the time to nail your design brief, it can help you save time, money, and future headaches. And if you want to take even more headache out of your design process, a fully managed design process can take a lot of the work out of creating design briefs over and over again. It can even save your future self time with giving feedback and getting design delivered according to your vision. Superside handles all of your creative requirements with a fully managed design process. We streamline the entire process with a dedicated creative project manager and a full-stack design team that can scale up with your growing design projects and briefs. We've built our DesignOps platform to make requesting new designs hassle-free. You can manage and order all of your designs from one single platform with a dedicated team to help you nail your next big campaign. To learn more, head over to superside.com or go to the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos on how you can scale your design and become a more effective design leader.